On to the other war now, which seems to have turned into a lost cause for the West. I'm talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. That Europe is getting war-weary is common knowledge at this point, but now Europe is coming to grips with the reality. It may not be in the position to help Ukraine anymore. But we are not the ones saying this. The bad news has been shared by EU's top diplomat, its foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell. On Tuesday, Josep Borrell said that the militaries of the EU member states have already supplied Ukraine with all the ammunition they could find in the existing stockpiles. He said that the European Union now has to rely on what can be domestically produced, meaning the Ukraine war has depleted Europe's arsenal. While until a few months ago, Ukraine's allies in Europe were scraping at the bottom of the barrel to arm Ukraine in its fight against Russia, now Europe just does not have any more weapons to give out. The top diplomat made the remarks ahead of the Foreign Affairs Council meeting when pressed on the EU's pledge to supply 1 million artillery shells to Kiev by March 2024. He said, and I'm quoting, "I do not have ammunition here in Brussels. I do not have a stock of ammunition. I have to mobilize the stocks of the European armies." The first track, providing what the armies already had in their stockpiles, is already finished. Now, from the stockpiles of the armies, it is difficult to get more. There you have it. According to Borrell, EU had provided Ukraine with over 300,000 artillery shells already. Earlier, it was reported that the EU has only provided 30% of the artillery shells it promised Ukraine. The top EU diplomat saying that the flow of ammunition to Ukraine now depends on the manufacturing capacities of European weapons makers. Forget about more weapons. Europe is struggling to produce and send Ukraine the weapons it has already promised the war-battered country. Then yesterday, a big admission. On Tuesday, the members of the European Union admitted that they may be on the way to failing Ukraine on their promise. This happened after a meeting of EU's defense and foreign affairs ministers in Brussels. The EU foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, also cast doubt on the goal. Estonia's defense minister, Hanno Pevkur, stressed on the urgent need to ramp up the supply of weapons. He acknowledged how Russia has boosted the arms production. But on the battlefield, ammunition is the only thing that counts. And artillery rounds play a bigger role. Ukrainian forces use around 6,000 to 7,000 shells daily on the battlefield. But what has happened to the military equipment and the weapons that the West has provided Ukraine so far is the question. You see, the reality on the ground is much of what NATO provided Ukraine has been blown to smithereens by the Russian troops. Ukraine's much-hyped summer counter-offensive flopped, and Russian troops have recently also made confirmed gains in Donetsk region. The situation on the front lines is emblematic of the recent admission by Ukraine's commander-in-chief. The war has reached a stalemate, and now with weapons running out in the West and a war in West Asia taking all the attention away from Ukraine, Kiev seems to have become a lost cause for the West. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.